What is the purpose of today's meeting? We would like to review the activities that have been done over the 3+ years for Grow Decatur. We would also like to debrief on the Grow Decatur's meetings held in May, June, and August. We would like to consider recommendations for the Grow Decatur Strategic Community Development Plan. And finally, as always, we would like to obtain your feedback. That is very critical and important to us. Just to give you a little history on the Grow Decatur, in mid-2010, the first discussions came about the Grow Decatur organizational discussion. In February 2010, Grow Decatur launched at the Community's Leaders Breakfast. Over the next 3 years, as you can see, a lot of work has been done to get us to our present state. Some of the work that had been done in previous years included stakeholders meetings, community surveys. In January 2013, we finalized some critical imperatives. Major objectives were incorporated, and now, in 2015, we are assessing our progress, and also we're looking to refresh our initiative. The Grow Decatur's values are as follows, with an emphasis on expect. We expect that everyone living in Decatur will have the opportunity to prosper and succeed. That's regardless of if you're a resident, a business, or an organization. We want everyone in the Decatur community to prosper and succeed. We also expect Decatur to be a highly desirable community in which we live, learn, work, play, raise a family, visit, and retire. Some of you all may be a little closer to that than I am. We also expect for Decatur to embrace and celebrate culture and diversity. And lastly, we expect that all residents seek and support excellence in education and personal development. So these 4 points really highlight our values of Grow Decatur.
We had 3 total meetings with about 150 participants in this room, not all at the same time. And as a result of those meetings, we identified 11 more topics that needed further discussion. So 11 more meetings were held, with each meeting focusing on a specific topic. And at that, we had over 276 people in attendance, of which there were 190 unique individuals, and a few people, as I can see out there today, who attended every single session. And we received some feedback that as a team, Grow Decatur had really not engaged the African community. And so therefore, we had 2 additional meetings in August, and those we had a total of 2 sessions and 60 participants present. We gained and analyzed all of the feedback that was received from all of those meetings, and then we took those before the Stakeholders Committee, and again, the Constituent Committee and the Decatur Leadership Institute, and asked them to help us prioritize. If you've ever started a new job and talked to your boss and they said, okay, you've got 35 different priorities, I hope you're successful, you would kind of feel like a deer in headlights, correct? And that was our process, to make certain that we were really focusing on what was truly important to our stakeholders and our community constituents. And as a result, we were able to identify the priorities that we should be working on going forward. What we did find out is that what we have been doing as far as our primary objectives were recognized and valued by the community. That we needed to work on some additional objectives to establish some robust achievement towards those objectives, and then continue to support the community values that were established previously. So our findings, you will see as we move forward that we have established tiers for our imperatives. 3 of our imperatives have achieved the launched status. That means they have an owner. They have a multi-year plan with funding, and they are at a stage where Grow Decatur no longer has to be actively involved to make them succeed. So we can step back, monitor, and advocate as the need arises. We have a Tier 1, our top priorities. These are viewed to be urgent, and they need the support of Grow Decatur and our community to be able to make the changes necessary for us to see the success that we want. Tier 2, still important, not quite as urgent, and we will continue to work on those as a Grow Decatur team in engaging the community to support those efforts. Tier 3. These, for a variety of reasons, will continue to progress, but the level of support from Grow Decatur will be less intensive. And we have the tabled imperatives. And these are ones that we view will probably take care of themselves over time based on some of the other activities that are already in place elsewhere within the Grow Decatur initiatives. So it was felt, based on the prioritization, it wasn't necessary to have a standalone imperative to address these particular initiatives. And then we as a Grow Decatur have a number of things that we need to do as a team to improve our communication and our engagement activities.
This process over the last several years has been a passion, I think, for several of us. We feel that as a community, things are moving in the right direction, but we're also realistic enough to know that there is still a lot more work to be done. Ellen went through a discussion of the various categories for these imperatives. What this table shows you is how the various proposed imperatives were ranked by the three groups that we actually took and had these discussions with. So we took all of these imperatives, we visited with the stakeholders group. This is how they ranked them. Did the same thing with the community constituents, and then the same thing with the Decatur Leadership Institute. And as you kind of look down through here, you can see where these things ranked. I think if I can go back here to the beginning of this. Okay, so let me do this. So education, whoops, wrong button. Education was the top voted imperative across the board among all three groups. When we took a look at Prosper and Succeed, which was a newly proposed initiative that we'll talk about, it ranked overall second, but you can see how it ranked by the different groups. Same thing with workforce development. This is one that we had before, candidly one of the imperatives that we made very little progress on over the last 2 or 3 years. With respect to some of the others, economic development in terms of what is the next new idea. A lot of satisfaction with respect to progress that's been made with the Midwest Inland Port, but the recognition is this isn't a one-trick pony. There can be other good opportunities for this community, and we want to be in a position to take advantage of them. Vibrant and attractive, sort of the quality of place initiatives. 20 to 40, working to increase the segment of the population between the ages of 20 and 40 who live and are active in our community, and so forth and so on. Housing in the city, grow the middle, and relationships and lakefront development. Recruiting and then lakefront development. So these were the imperatives that we took back, discussed with the stakeholders, the community constituents, and the Decatur Leadership Institute, and that resulted in this combined ranking. And on the sheet that you have, this is sort of how we have these segmented. What we're going to do today is to quickly go through each of these levels or categories of imperatives to let you know where they are, what we're doing, and then obtain some feedback from all of you as well. So when we take a look first at the ones that Ellen described as being launched, these include the Midwest Inland Port, water supply, community marketing and branding. The letters in the lower right-hand corner of each of those boxes correspond to one of the three primary objectives that we have: work, develop, or live. With respect to each of these three, they meet all of the criteria we have for being launched. There is clear direction, and there are good objectives for each of these. There is defined ownership in terms of who's running those activities. There is a comprehensive development plan. There is a multi-year resource commitment to kind of make sure we get these things done. And perhaps one of the most significant pieces of the requirement is that they be of sufficient scale to really matter. What we're looking for in the mission statement are the transformational things, the things that will really make a difference in our community, and sufficient scale is one of the key attributes of that. Description of each of the three is listed below, and that moves us on then to the next tier, which is the highest priority items that need additional attention. These include education, Prosper and Succeed, workforce development. You can see by the check marks there has been good progress made on education. There are a number of initiatives underway, taking place there right now, that give us good hope that that plan is going to be comprehensive. It's going to have the sufficient scale that we're looking for. And one of the challenges that we'll have to take a look at is what will be required in terms of funding to make sure we can move those activities forward. Prosper and succeed. This was a new imperative, and actually during the summer sessions received probably as much attention as anything. This really deals with recognition that there is a significant segment of our population in our community that has not yet reached a level of prosperity and success that we want them to achieve and that they want to achieve. That is a huge challenge. It is not unique to Decatur, but if we can pull our resources together and make a difference there, it will further differentiate our community in a very positive way. The good news is there is some good foundational work already being done. Good Samaritan and the United Way have been doing some parallel efforts. The continuity of care is another component of that. The elements are there to put together the comprehensive plan, and I feel very comfortable that this is one that we'll be able to have good success on as we move forward over the next several months. Workforce development. We've had a lot of attention over the last 3 years to what we can do in the educational system. We've made good progress there, but we have a significant segment of our population that is not in the educational system, and they are either unemployed or underemployed or misemployed. They don't have the requisite skills, both technical and behavioral in some cases, to really be successful in the jobs that are available today in our community and the jobs that we believe will become available in our community over time. So working with the right stakeholders here to put together a comprehensive plan to help address that opportunity is another one of the things that has been identified as one of the top 3 imperatives. This is the workforce development piece. One of the things, I forgot to do this, so I deprived Nicole of her opportunity earlier in terms of what can be done to help. We'll come back to her in a second. But in these areas, one of the questions that we frequently get from meetings like these is what can we do to help? And in many of these are not cookie cutters. So in the case of the Midwest Inland Port, and in the case of the water supply, where there is a comprehensive plan, a defined owner, and a multi-year resource plan, really the role of the people in the community in terms of how they can help is really to be supportive and to advocate for those kinds of activities. In other areas like education, there is a team in place, and as that team moves forward with its recommendations and findings, there will be, I think, a number of good opportunities for people in the community to help out in the educational process. The same, I think, will be true with Prosper and Succeed and workforce development. And so I'm going to have Nicole talk a little bit here real quickly about how you can be involved with respect to community marketing and branding, and then I'll go down through the next 2 tiers.
We rolled out a new marketing and branding campaign for the community called City Limitless, Decatur and Macon County. And it's been very successful, but of course we still need help pushing that forward. And the importance of launching that at the beginning was not only to kind of give us all that shot in the arm of community pride that I think we are missing, but also as we start to work on some really significant projects in the next year, we need people to help us move those forward, just as we're working on these initiatives for Grow Decatur. So how can you help specifically with community marketing and branding? There are several ways immediately that you can help. We need ambassadors. So how many of you are currently ambassadors? Probably. Okay, so about half. All right, so the rest of you can gladly sign up today. But to be an ambassador, we just ask you to be an advocate for our community. We hear a lot of negativity out there. Be informed. Stay informed. We will keep you informed on the things that are happening and the great things about our community. So when you're approached and somebody asks you, what's so unique about Decatur? Why is Great Decatur so great anyway? You'll have those answers. You'll know what's happening here. So become an ambassador. We are also looking for guest bloggers to give some insights on the great things that are happening here. And then from a community and a business standpoint, you can use the City Limitless resources that we've developed to help hire and recruit and retain employees within your company. What we've heard from a lot of major corporations is that it's easy to sell them on the job. They want to work for our company, but they may not want to move here. And so we've made some really nice and created some nice pieces for you as a company to use to help ease that process a little bit. So if you're interested, I believe everybody has a yellow sheet, yellow golden rod colored. goldenrod, that's a crayon you haven't heard of in a while, goldenrod colored sheet. On there, it says, keep me informed, or ways I can help. If you would like to become an ambassador, just fill out that sheet and write ambassador, and I can sign you up for that. If you want to sign up later, you're always welcome to visit the website as well. It's DecaturCityLimitless.com. There are little cards in the back of the room with all of this info on there. You can sign up there as well. Take some of those cards. Those are for the community to use. If you hear somebody being down on the community, take them, hand them one, tell them to learn more about it, because we are, I think, all, just by your show of attendance today, are really proud to be here. And like I said, as we start to work on some more significant projects in this next year, using City Limitless as our voice, we will need you, and we're going to need your help on that.
So next we'll look at our tabled items, and quite frankly, of the 11 items that we sifted down to, these were the items that we decided we're not going to put them on our active list right now. We're going to stash them back a little bit, and I'll tell you a little bit about why we're doing that. First of all, let's talk about relationships. The concept of relationships, as we talked this past summer, was that there are a lot of groups of people in the community, and in general, our community works together pretty well. The people communicate, they understand a little bit to a reasonable level, but we wondered, well, what would it be like if we could be better at that? We could do that more. We could do that bigger. Is that something that we need to spend our time and energy on at the top of our list right now? As we went through the prioritization process and the input gathering process, we decided to table this. The priority rating didn't receive the highest scores, and we believe that there are some things that we can do as Grow Decatur through our internal engagement processes and communication processes that will make a dent in that while continuing to encourage us. We're not saying don't work on this. And a lot of what we do with Grow Decatur, we put something up here, we say this is something we all ought to work on, and when you all go back to your work now, you're going to say, well, you know, I was thinking about this. I'm going to do it this way this afternoon, and that's going to help. So please feel free to do things to make these better. We're saying from a Grow Decatur standpoint, just not a particularly high priority. We can only juggle so many balls at a time. And then from a recruiting standpoint, this actually came up when we first started with Grow Decatur, that there are a lot of organizations in the community trying to recruit talent to Decatur to work here and do good work. And we have some challenges that cause people to resist coming here. Some of those challenges are perception, some are reality, and so we have to work on a lot of those. And so even back a few years ago, we said, is this something we ought to focus some energy on and actually get to work? And we decided, well, really, this might fit into the category of, if we work on these other critical imperatives, then that will create an environment such as vibrant and attractive and education and so forth that will make our community an easier one to recruit to. We worked along that path for a few years. We think we've made some progress on that, and we feel that the way the priority ratings came back, the people who make up our community are saying, yeah, that's working pretty well. I wouldn't put that up at the top of the list. If you can do something, that'd be great. And so we put that down in the tabled category. Now, in terms of what can you do on the tabled category, again, when you find something that you can do to help improve the community, do it, period. And these would be good things for you to think about in your job, in your life. Perhaps there's something that fits into this category for you. So if there's something that you would like to do in the recruiting or relationship arena, go ahead and jot it down on the golden sheet. We can always pass along your ideas. If we're not working on it, we can shoot it over to somebody that we know is actively engaged in that and see if we can make some progress that way as well. Okay. The last category that we'll talk about then, and these would be internal. So the first ones were, how do we make Decatur better? These are, how do we make Grow Decatur as a movement better? And so that's what we'll talk about just briefly here. The first one that we'll talk about is engagement and communication. I remember very clearly when Larry came to talk to me way back at the beginning when it was just an idea in his brain and a couple other people. And one of the things that we talked about at that time was, if Grow Decatur is going to work, it's only going to work if all these people sitting in the room are a part of it, and all the other 80,000 people in the community are a part of it. That's how we've got a shot at making some significant changes here. And I believe we've shown that that is, in fact, the case. And so we've had some good success over the past few years with the community lifting itself up. Grow Decatur is just kind of helping along the way. So engagement is crucial to us. However, what we knew that, we didn't know to what extent it would be difficult to engage 80,000 people. It's kind of hard to make the calls. You know, you've got a lot of people to touch base with. You've got a lot of activities you want to share with people, and it just is a challenging activity. Along that line is communications. How do we keep the message going out? How does everybody know what everybody's doing? That has proven challenging to us. And I might comment too, Larry was an IT guy originally. I was an IT guy originally. IT guys are not really known for their communication. I don't know if you've noticed that in your life. But we understand the value. We know it's important. We, quite frankly, need to be better at that in the Grow Decatur arena. And so we have opportunities for help there. What things can you think of that would allow us to engage more effectively, to communicate more effectively, with a reasonable amount of effort and so forth? And of course, this is not something that we need to do for a couple of days or for a week. This is something we've been doing for years now, and so continuing to sustain a high level of engagement is something that we would like to get some insight on. I'll talk about funding just a little bit, and then I'm going to come back to engagement communication. So funding, one of the things that we found in Grow Decatur, you know, we have all these teams working on the various imperatives. And the teams often will come to us and say, we've got a great idea. All we need is $250,000 and we're golden. Well, that's interesting, but we don't, you know, Grow Decatur has no money. Grow Decatur is not an organization. We're just a bunch of people that's sitting in a room at the library. And so the concept of where do we get that money is significant. And so one of the things that has come up in our discussions, should we have a team, a crack team, and all they do is just, you know, somebody throws them a note that says we need $250,000 and boom, off they go. Well, what we've decided is that's really not the best way to make progress on this. And so, thank you, Nelson. And so what we are envisioning is there may be a value in having in the community, the fundraisers in the community get together and see if there are ways that they can, you know, cooperate and do things to better increase the opportunity to bring money into the community. But then if there is a need in a Grow Decatur team, what we think we might do is implement maybe an advisory panel or something like that. Maybe a banker and a fundraiser and an accountant and an entrepreneurial person and so forth, and let that be kind of a brain trust that a team could bring in for the discussion about fundraising. So we need some money. Let's bring the brain trust in, and let's have a session about, you know, how are we going to come up with some money? What are some innovative ways to fund this and make it happen? We have done some funding in the past that have provided us the opportunities to make some progress. Our community marketing and branding was one of those things that we found funding for. The Midwest Inland Port, through the support of ADM and some other partners, we've developed some funding for. So there is funding out there. We just decided that as a function for Grow Decatur, it's probably not going to be a standing committee, but maybe just get an advisory panel set up, something along that line. So moving forward, just wanted to share a little bit. We've already mentioned who we are, and I don't know if you had detected, but there's been kind of a little shift in the Grow Decatur leadership. Larry and I and Beth Nolan have been kind of spearheading this for the past couple, 3 years. What we've done recently is we've said we need more and better on our leadership team, and so that's why Jessie Beauvais has been added. She wasn't able to be here today. Ashley Grainett is here, and also Ellen Hearn. Jessie works for the Buffett Foundation, and Ashley is with DPS 61. Ellen Hearn is a human resources consultant, and so that is a set of skills and ability and definitely interest and energy that's been added to our leadership team. We wanted you all to be tuned into that. We also wanted to remind you of what Grow Decatur is and is not, because it's crucial. As we think about the meeting that we've had here today, first of all, we appreciate you thinking and sitting and listening. You can tell what we do is plan. We're not the ones out there doing everything. Grow Decatur is not the doer in the community. There are a lot of great doers in the community. In fact, you're all sitting here in front of me, and so we appreciate that. What we're trying to do is make it easier for you all to do the things that you do and that need to be done. And so what we do is strategic planning. We try to think. Our meetings are really exciting. We just sit there and think. This is what we do. I mean, what we're seeing here today. We review and revise the plan. A plan is only good for a certain period of time, and we're in the middle of a major revision to our plan, and we appreciate you helping us to do that. We then try to engage the community, find out who can do this. Larry and the others have mentioned owners. If we have a critical imperative, we need to find somebody who's going to take that and run with it. That's how it's going to get done. There aren't a lot of major things in a community that a group of volunteers can just do. But we can organize, we can align, we can do things like that. And if there's assistance needed, what we'd love to hear a group say, we would take this and do this if only this barrier were not in our way. Let us know, and we'll try to figure out how we can get that barrier moved out of the way. And so what we do is facilitate, encourage, stimulate, sometimes people say irritate, remove barriers, and encourage collaboration. That's what we do. And it's crucial to us that this not just be a flash in the pan. We want to sustain the process, and we appreciate you all being here to hear about that today. And so what's going on next? All the imperatives that you saw, we will put teams together or refresh the teams that are already in existence and get those people thinking about how to what objectives should we have for workforce development? What are the goals? Who is going to work on this? Who's going to own that? And so forth. So we need leaders and team members to help us with that thinking. If you're interested, goldenrod sheet. If you want to help us do some planning in any of those imperatives, please write that down. If you know somebody who you might recommend, we won't tell them that you passed their name along. Don't worry. We'll just contact them anonymously. And then once we get those teams put together, we will work with the community partners, the people who are the doers in the community, to actually make some progress. And then, as we mentioned, we want to work on our enhanced communication function to make sure that you're informed of what's going on with Grow Decatur. Through our community marketing function in the community now, you're more aware of what's going on in the community, which is great. We also want you to know what's going on with Grow Decatur, and we intend to keep you apprised in a better manner. And by the way, if you'd like to be involved in that process, if you'd like to help us think through how to set up an engagement team, think through how to set up our communication process, we're always eager for those brains as well. And then we also, we started this out a few years ago saying, you know what, we need to move some needles. We need to see our population increase. We need to see our wages go up. We need to see some numbers changing. Quite frankly, we haven't spent a lot of time tracking numbers and deciding which things should we see are little needles that will indicate a big needle's about to swing. And so we want to dig into more of the goals and measurement function that we believe is an important part of a strategically planned development process.